And gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Oh, welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 497. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate.
You passed it to me, buddy. Through the microphone, through your microphone on the East Coast. Came through my headset, came through my microphones.
Nate's down for the count. Well, not entirely. I mean, he's here.
I beat the fever, which is apparently what you got to do. Once you get past that, once you wake up in your sweaty, cold sheets, that's how you know you're past it. Except if you hear sounds coming out of me today, apparently it's not gone. So I'm still here. I'm Jordan flu game. It's no big deal. Just out here for what episode? What is this?
497, baby.
Oh,
We're getting close. I can smell it.
we're creeping.
I can smell it. I got a bone to pick here. Well, it's not even really a bone to pick. It's really more of just a question. Where's this Paul Skeens card at?
Yeah, it's a fair question.
Where's the Paul Skeens card at?
It really hasn't gotten like a ton of. I've seen like a lot of fake stuff. Have you seen the fake TikToks? Like the fake pulls?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand.
Why do they even make those?
I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. It also doesn't make sense to me. No, I take that back. It makes perfect sense to me why we don't have the Paul Skeens rookie card yet. Why that hasn't surfaced is because there's one of probably many scenarios that are playing out here. One, Topps hasn't even released it yet. That's what I would like. If you're a business,
you think it's still in like the factory?
That's what I would do.
Smart. Just rack up the sales. You know,
let these people go crazy. Let the people of Pittsburgh, let the people of Pennsylvania, heck, let the collectors of America just go crazy. Collectors, hobbyists, regular Joes like you and me, let them go crazy looking for this Paul Skeens card. Try to make a big buck.
Hobbyist is a word?
Don't quote me on it.
Learn something new every day.
Let them go crazy looking for this card. Meanwhile, you're sitting on it in the factory in Saskatchewan. I don't know where Topps is. Where's Topps HQ at?
I don't know.
New
I don't
York.
think it's in Canada.
It's in New York. Yeah, I don't know. I went to Saskatchewan there. So that's either happening, or they're working to funnel it to a collector or a breaker because,
dude,
what does Topps have to gain from a guy like you or me getting it?
Why do in my head, I picture like that, you know, that fat Swedish kid that gets the golden ticket in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
He's got like stubby little chocolate fingers. What happens if that happens? Like, what if some snotty little kid just tears it open in their stocking Christmas morning, and it's just like shred to pieces, and there's like a tear on, there's like bent, and they're like, can I take this outside and play with it? Like, what if it's one of those kids?
Topps isn't going to let that happen. That's what I'm saying. They're going to ensure that this gets into the hand of a collector or a breaker so that they get all of the publicity. And I get it as a business, like do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. But like, don't trick us. And I haven't bought any. I mean, I'm not going out and purchasing any of these cards. So like, it's not like I'm salty about it.
I bought any. Yeah.
It's not like I'm salty about it in that sense, but I'm irritated to think that like an average person like you or me or anybody probably listening to this who doesn't really collect, but maybe it was like, you know what, let me go out and buy a box.
Yeah.
I'm irritated to think that somebody like that never really stood a chance because it's still floating around out there somewhere. And I'm just waiting to see who gets it. And I'm 99% sure it's going to be a collector.
Are we? I mean, like, I'm in the camp that I am glad that this is a thing again. I like that. I'm not a collector myself. Like, I'm not I'm not into that as much as others, but I'm like happy that it is a thing. I'm glad that cards are like back out there, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's also strangely being dominated by our generation. I wish the kids would be a little more into it, but
And
maybe that's how stuff
us
works.
and older. That's the problem. And we talked about this when COVID hit, when it started, when baseball cards started booming. Like people were like just clocking each other in a Target parking lot over a box of cards, and they had to limit it to like a box per customer.
That's right. There was a shortage for a while.
Just insanity. Like the baseball card collecting is not what it used to be.
Doesn't Fanatics own Topps now?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we know what's going on.
You're telling me there's not something going on, right? Come on.
We know what's going on. Fanatics is always up to some nonsense.
Just get the Paul Skeens card out of circulation. Like, just get it out in the open so we can move on with our lives. I just want to know.
They're sitting on that puppy for sure. It's gonna end up in like a dealer's hand, or I don't think the odds are in their favor, but I do think it's going to end up in a Pirates hand, like a Pirates fan's hand.
Yeah, it's going to end up in a collector's hand or a breaker's hand in the Pittsburgh area. No doubt.
Yeah.
Who's not going to end up in Pittsburgh, however, Kyle Tucker, because he's heading to Chicago via trade. The newest Chicago Cub in a deal that I didn't particularly see coming. I think we could expect, or we could have expected rather, a trade going down for Kyle Tucker, knowing or presuming that the Astros were not going to want to hang on to him and try to make their pitch to make that sort of contract happen. Assuming that's where this is headed and that's what he's going to get. But the Cubs.
Yeah.
Caught me by surprise a little bit. I woke up one day and I saw this groundswell of attention given to the Cubs.
Yeah.
And then within hours it seemed like he was on his way there.
Yeah. There was some rumors around the Yankees for a little bit, and then like I don't know, maybe a half a day later it was like, no, the Cubs are like a super strong suitor. And initially hearing it, I kind of struggled to see it. There's so much to unravel here, just with like Isaac Paredes being in the picture there. Like, I don't know. Like, I do like the deal. I don't think the Astros we're necessarily going to fork over the money he's going to get. And I'm in the camp that it's at least $350 this offseason, or potentially an extension with Chicago. It's at least $350. I could see north of $4. Like, the dude's he's a dog. Kyle Tucker's a dog. Dude rakes, doesn't miss games. Anything that he missed last year was fluky injury. I think he hit by pitch or something like that like fractured his leg. It makes a ton of sense in the fact that, like, you know, hey, we're not going to get him anyway. I don't know. Like, I wonder if there's other teams out there that are looking at this deal and they're like, that's all it took. You know what I mean? No offense to Isaac Paredes, but like, and was it Cam Smith, which I believe was it was their first round pick.
And Hayden Wisniewski.
Wisniewski is obviously good, but yeah, I was a little surprised that that's all it took to get him, and it's a full year, you know, and this isn't like a deadline deal where you only get him for a couple months. Like, this is a whole year, and I like it. I'm still a little lost on like why they're so ready to like sell certain pieces and then they all of a sudden do this. But hey, you know, I mean, Cubs got to go. And that's like, when you put it together, if names stay where they are right now, like that ain't a bad lineup.
Dude. We're looking at Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker. Ian Happ in the outfield, Tucker in the outfield. Suzuki is your DH now. They currently have Belly slot in the outfield, which is not to be, because you can only imagine that he is all but gone at this point. Dansby Swanson, Michael Bush, who I'm excited to see in his sophomore campaign. Sophomore campaign, right? For Michael Bush. Nico Horner.
Sophomore plus, I feel like.
Matt Shaw and Miguel Amaya. And they also added Carson Kelly recently as well for a little depth behind the dish, but
that's solid.
I don't know, man. You look at the rotation. You got Imanaga, Steele, Tyone, Matthew Boyd, who just acquired Javier Assad. They're not. I would venture to say they're not done.
Yeah,
and you can really say that for any of these teams that have been making splashes thus far. Like there's still more work to be done, and it's just a matter of which of these teams who are active will end up with said players. Yeah,
still more work to be done for sure. But I do like it. I hate to say it, like I definitely wanted him as a Yankees fan. Like I would have killed for that. I think that's as close as you can get to replacing Soto at this current market. But I mean, hey, like good for the Cubs. I think he looks better as a Cub. When that rumor came out, I was like, I can see it. I can really see him in that uniform. A place where I think Chicago is going to obviously love him right away. So it's easy to play in front of those fans, I think. Yeah, pretty interesting. I mean, I think on the other side of things, like I think this pretty much takes the Astros out of the Alex Bregman camp, which is wild in a way. Still trying to wrap my mind around that. Like I had him going back there. That was overall, like I haven't been able to picture him playing elsewhere.
I've had probably about a week to really let that sink in. Like I've kind of checked out on the whole Bregman and Houston thing in terms of that being a likely landing spot or a return, I guess you could say, a reunion ultimately. Yeah. I've pictured a handful of other jerseys on Bregman at this point, and Astros are not one of them.
Yeah, well, I think Isaac Paredes is look, I mean, highly touted. I know he struggled a lot as a Cub. He was highly touted at the deadline last year. Super pull heavy. My man is
gonna love the Crawford boxes.
Gonna love those boxes, dude. Gonna love those boxes. I'd like to see him shed maybe a few LBs. He's triple C thick. I don't know if the size is accurate when you look it up.
Well, if you're saying that Isaac Paredes needs to shed a few LBs, if his listing on Baseball Reference is accurate, he's listed at 5'11", 213. I'm 5'11 and a half, 6 on my government ID. And I'm probably, last I checked, well, I'm coming off of a sickness, so I've probably shed a few LBs there. Probably like 220. So if you're saying Isaac Paredes has to shed a few LBs, you're saying that I have to shed a few LBs, which I already know, but
I would change both of those numbers. Give me 5'8", and then give me 230 at least. Man's is big. Anyway, knows how to hit though. Professional hitter. So interesting.
We're only a year removed from that 30 home run season. Don't forget.
Yeah. And we've seen him play first as well. So there's some flexibility there.
31. Sorry.
There's a lot to unravel here. Lot to say, but I do want to get into a little something because it is relevant to this. I think we need to talk a little bit of Cubs. So go ahead and press that quote button, sir.
Oh.
Whose quote was this? Whose quote was this? Who said it? Whether it tastes like milk, whether it tastes like wine, we have to find out. this.
Ready, pal?
Little early. Whose quote was this? Action. This is
Too relevant to wait, you know?
Too
We gotta
relevant
get-
to wait.
We gotta get it in.
let's talk about it. Lay that quote on me. What quote
All
you
right.
got?
I would have thrown in an option, certainly, but the 4 years for me, I would be comfortable doing 4 because it's like, you know, you could find worse than 4 years of Cody Bellinger. And if it doesn't pan out for the first year or two, it would still be a manageable enough contract to where you could trade it to somebody who could be, well, like, you know, let's see if we can find the MVP Cody Bellinger. I'm tired of hearing MVP Cody Bellinger. It's well past that window. I read it in all the reports, and I get it. He earned it. He's owed that to his name. I understand. But we're beyond MVP Cody Bellinger. We're not likely going to see that version of Cody Bellinger again.
Episode and date. Do you have that?
Episode and date. Let's see. We've got February 26th, 2024. That would mark it as episode 414.
Oh,
So
shoot. That was this year.
not crazy far back. Not crazy far back.
Oh, man. Oh, so this would have been before he joined the Cubs.
This was the episode that announced that he was going to the Cubs.
Okay. He was going to the Cubs.
It was super late. Obviously, it was the whole Boris thing, getting really late into the spring training. So
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bit in there that just ultimately gave it away. But this is 1,000% in terms of whose quote is this. That was 1,000% yours truly, Kyle Corwin.
Ding, ding, ding. Yes, sir.
That was my quote, and that's a train I've been riding for some time now. The bit about I'm tired of hearing
Oh, I agree.
about the MVP that Cody Bellinger has. Like, we got to stop calling him MVP Cody Bellinger. Is he an MVP? Absolutely. In the year 2024, almost soon to be 2025, is it worth still labeling Cody Bellinger as an MVP to state a case for why he deserves this or that, or deserves to play on this team or that team? No. That
I
was
agree.
2019. That was 5 years ago, soon
Yeah.
to be 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's not going to get better. I don't see it. And the reason we obviously had to bring it up is because, like, this is interesting. You know, does this give leverage back to the Cubs? Like, does this make the Cubs seem a little less needy to move him? Are they still, I haven't really heard if they're still wanting to move him, if they're still actively trying to do it. Obviously a lot of smoke around the Yankees being interested in need of both a center fielder and a first baseman. We've seen Cody play left field as well, so that brings other teams in the conversation.
John
No.
in the chat asked, are the Yankees getting Bellinger?
I was in the mind of two different trades happening if the Yankees got Bellinger. One of those proposals in my head included Isak Paredes, because the Yankees are sitting there with Jazz Chisholm saying, hey, you can play second, you can play third, and we're just going to see what the market gets us, and then you're going to play the other one. So I figured, go get both. Cashman loves doing that. He loves getting those 2-for-1 trades where you can kind of semi-plug a hole with a guy, really plug a hole with another guy. So now it's shifted into the other proposal that I think it's either, well, I think it's now, if it does happen, Cody Bellinger and Nico Horner. And having Jazz play third, Nico at short, or at second. And then again, see what the market does by having Bellinger either in center field regularly or left field if you want to, you know, let Jason Dominguez do it, or start him at first if you don't want to go sign another bat at first. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. I think this probably slows down a little bit. I think there's a waiting game a little bit because you got to wonder what teams are in on Pete Alonso. What teams are in for trading for Paul Goldschmidt? What teams are in on what's his face? I can see him.
Christian Walker.
Christian Walker. And that's where I feel like Cody Bellinger's maybe a plan B to those options.
I don't know if he is though, because he has the defensive versatility, if that's what you want to call it. No, you know
Understood.
what? Defensive versatility. I'm not gonna sit here and discredit him. He's shown you that he can do both.
Yeah.
It's just not like, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not really into it, to be honest.
There's
all
something there. I just
I'm all
don't know
done.
what I can't put my finger on it, but it's just that Cody Bellinger, a defensive versatility that a Cody Bellinger can offer you, just for some reason does not
outweigh
carry
the bad.
Well, not even that, but it just doesn't carry the same weight as the defensive versatility of. I don't know. I can't even think of an example right now, but it's just like, I just feel like if you put Cody Bellinger up against player B, who also plays the outfield and first base, it's like,
and that's where, like,
I don't
when
know.
I look at that trade scenario with the Yankees, I'm more excited if they did get Nico Horner in that deal. I'm more excited about him. So I don't know. We'll see. I got a buddy who's a Braves fan, and he's like, yeah, I could see Bellinger to the Braves playing left field every day and in a lineup where he doesn't have to be the dude. And you're like, all right, well, yeah. I mean, that could make sense when he's hitting, 6, 7, 8, somewhere down there, and you don't really have to rely on him offensively. Then, yeah. But again, like, I don't know, go get Profar. That's in my mind. Like, if you need a left fielder, you need an outfielder who you're going to promote defense and then get bonus offense, give me Jerks and Profar over trading for a Cody Bellinger, who's likely going to, hit the market and have to do this all over again soon. I don't know. Whatever. Good for the Cubs. You're still kind of confusing me, but at least, like, now you're starting to go a certain direction.
No,
You've been spinning for a little while, and now, like, you're actually going. So I can appreciate it.
I'm liking what the Cubs are cooking up over there in Chicago. Mark me down as being a fan.
Central's up for grabs, so why not?
Always is. Speaking of the Central, the Brewers are losing their closer, Devin Williams, via trade with the New York Yankees. In return, going to Milwaukee, you've got Nestor Cortez and Caleb Durbin, as well as the ever famous cash considerations.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're thinking here.
Easy transition here. I was a little sad about Caleb Durbin. He was pretty much slotted to be the starting second baseman this year. For those who don't know, kid's just raked. Little guy. It's like 5'6". I think he's listed at 5'6", so could be smaller. I think he won, like, the MVP of Arizona Fall League last year. Like, doesn't strike out a ton, plays really good defense. So, like, overall, kind of seems like a Brewer already. And so does the belly of Nestor. I appreciate you. Thank you for your service, Nestor Cortez. I think it was all done. You know what I mean? That, like, it's run its course.
The last pitch he threw.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget it. The last pitch
I
he
won't.
threw
I
in a
can't.
Yankees uniform.
Was a nuke.
By the way, that just sold for like $1.5 million.
Yeah.
I think, was it the third most expensive baseball that's ever been auctioned off? Is that what I saw?
Not surprised. Not surprised.
The Freddie Freeman walk-off grand slam, courtesy of Nestor Cortez, just sold in auction recently for $1.56 million.
Yeah. Crazy. But, Nestor is solid. I mean, like, the numbers don't necessarily write the whole story for last year. I still think he reached, like, over 170 innings, 60 innings. ERA in the threes. Like, when you look at that, you're like, yeah, not bad. But watching him every day, and he didn't really have his stuff. He's something, I hope the Brewers let him be what he wants to be. I hope he can go be weird and funky and just, do what he does and chew up innings. I'm sure Durbin is going to immediately turn into infield gold the way the Brewers do that. But I mean, this story, look, let's face it, baby. Devin Williams. I freaking love it.
What is this?
This is another deal where I bet other teams look around and they're like, that's it? That's all you wanted for him, huh?
What does this do? What does this do for your back end? Like you're looking at, like you've got Weaver, like he showed you down the stretch that he's capable of taking on that role. Devin Williams has for years now has proven that he's more than capable of holding down that role. Like what does this look like? Does this look like a situation where you get to the end of the year, both guys have double-digit saves, Devin more so than Luke, or what does this look like? Or is this strictly Devin in the ninth?
I don't know. I don't think so. I genuinely feel like baseball is kind of moving out of that anyway. Which is why I asked. Yeah, and we've seen closers, quote unquote closers, being used at the toughest spot in the game. If
high
it's
leverage.
If it's bottom 7 and bases are loaded and you're only up 1, like I'd rather use him now than just saving him for the ninth. So I do like what this does. I mean, Luke Weaver's proven that he can pretty much do it in any inning. I like that the Yankees aren't banking off of 3 solid months out of Luke Weaver and saying he's our closer.
Good point.
Like, let's just roll right into it. And I've seen this team do that. I've seen this organization just kind of be overly confident on certain guys. So I like that they've said, no, like, we're going to go get a real guy. And now Boone can do what he wants. And now Boone can press that Luke Weaver button, who can be a closer, but he can press it in the 6th, 7th, 8th. Vice versa, use Devin Williams in a tough spot, depending on the lane, and then have Luke Weaver to close out the game. And that's where a lot of their holes was that if he did press that Luke Weaver button too early, we saw Clay Holmes really struggle coming in after that to close the door. So now there's 2 legitimate guys that can close the door. And I'm actually really excited that like what this team is doing, hopefully if this direction continues, is being a little bit of self-awareness of looking at what they did on a national stage, and they were laughed at. And fundamentals and defense was laughed at, and lack of pitching depth was laughed at. And now just saying, hey, you know what? Let's go do that. We'll figure out hitting. We always do. Let's go shore up the pen. Let's go shore up the rotation. See what we can do defensively. Still waiting for balls to drop there, but I'm really excited what this does. And the fact that it's a trade, getting rid of Nestor is pretty much an even money swap. A little bit of kicker thrown in, but there's really not that much. So like in reality, Tanner Scott is still on the table potentially.
Don't you even think about it.
So if they go do that, like
stop.
And
I won't allow
I'm
it.
not super high on it, but like Jonathan Loaizaga comes back, and we've seen him have some stuff that are in
Johnny
the like
Lasagna.
If he can stay healthy, and then there's maybe they bring back Tim Hill, maybe they bring back Tommy Canley, I don't know, but I like what they're doing. Now it's time to go get a bat, please, like or 3. But I didn't see this, man. I just it wasn't on my radar at all. Super stoked. Doesn't look great without a beard. I'll say that. I'll admit it.
He looks like a 3-year-old toddler in that picture that I sent you. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
Hold on, I gotta pull this up. I mean, look at this.
He looks like a high school kid that like got a Yankees hat for Christmas.
Look at that. He looks like he's 11.
It doesn't even look like him. Didn't even recognize him.
I mean, who is that?
I like it. I like it. Anyway, it's a good deal. It's a good deal through and through. I called it, by the way. I told you that with the addition of Fried, one of those rotation arms is getting moved. And by the way, going back to the Tucker thing, the Astros were asking for Luis Heel in exchange for Tucker. I don't know if it was 1-for-1, but the Yankees just weren't down. And
to your point, is that not one of the guys?
Respect it.
Yeah, but like you just got done, and I'm not saying you're contradicting yourself, but like you just got done saying that like the Yankees have a history of being overly confident in guys. And if I'm looking at, I'm sure it's much more difficult of a decision if you're in the front office in the Bronx. But if I'm just looking objectively as best I can at the Yankee situation, and I've got a guy in Luis Heel who we've seen rookies go out, do what they do. They even win Rookie of the Year. And then they sort of just they lose direction.
Sure.
They lose their mechanics. They lose their confidence.
Yeah.
Is Luis Heel not a guy that you'd be willing to part ways with in exchange for Kyle Tucker when you just lost out on the next best option in the game after Shohei?
I mean, I do agree. Like I would have been happy with the deal. I would have been happy if it went down. It would have hurt a little bit. I think if it wasn't 1 year removed from getting burned by trading for a rental, hoping that you can extend him.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know, like I think there's a little bit of sour taste in their mouth from Soto. Now, Soto's a Boris client. He's always going to hit the free agency market, but like, I think the Yankees really thought they were going to get him back. I think they really thought it. And then the fact that they went so high with their numbers, so uncomfortably high with their numbers, I think they were pretty confident in it. The Kyle Tucker happening right afterwards, it's like maybe they were a little hesitant to say, you know, hey, we can trade for this guy and convince him to stay, and we have all year to do it. Now, not a Boris client, but I don't really know what next year's class looks like. Chances are he's going to be the number one or top 3 names in that class that teams are going to be going after. So, again, I would have been happy with it, but at the same time, it would have hurt to see Luis Heel go down to Houston and maybe live up to the hype and be as dominant as he can be at times. So, I like that they have him. I like that, like, your biggest question mark in the rotation right now is arguably a Carlos Rodon, who looked pretty decent last year. So, like, that ain't bad, dude. That ain't bad.
I don't want to talk about the Yankees anymore. Let's talk Jeffrey Springs, Oakland A's. And before you say anything, for those of you listening and watching, what the heck? These deals it's been days now. Trust me, we know. We can only talk to you about these things that have happened. We can't just make up transactions. We could. I don't know how entertaining that would be.
I'd love to.
Okay, let's just make up a headline now, just to satisfy those people who want, fresh material. Breaking news: the Red Sox have traded for Framber Valdez, Alex Bregman.
You sign Alex Bregman? Your headline already sucks.
Sign Alex Bregman. It's a multifaceted deal, okay? It's a multi-pronged transaction. They've traded for Framber Valdez. They've essentially emptied the Houston Astros. That's your breaking news.
Gotcha.
There's your headline if you want fresh material, even if it's inaccurate.
Completely fake.
We can only talk about what's happened, and what's happened is Jeffrey Springs to the A's. I gotta admit, the Oakland A's offseason that has occurred thus far to date, it was a little bit of a false alarm. Once you start start putting the pieces together, and there's these reports that have been floating around talking about how the A's are only making these deals, only making these acquisitions to avoid having a grievance filed against them. You start understanding, like, okay, maybe this isn't as much of a gung-ho effort as maybe we initially thought before this was brought to light, before we were reminded of this reality that they're up against. It kind of takes the punch out of it a little bit, because I'm going, like, I like this trade. Jeffrey Springs, former Boston Red Sox, former Ray. I like this trade for the A's, but then it's like we're just trying to reach a threshold so people won't be mad at us, because we already have enough people that are mad at us as it stands.
Sorry. I forgot that he made 25 starts in 2022.
Yeah, and missed, what was it, all of last year, right? That he missed?
He made 7 starts last year.
7 starts. McClanahan missed all of last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Man, three starts in 2023. They really got hammered.
Rays were down for the count last year.
It's tough. I like this. I think this is kind of like a buy low situation, and it sucks because it's like, I hate saying the same thing over and over again, but like every deal that the A's do, it's like, good deal. If he does well, you can flip him at the deadline. I don't know. I get that they're trying, and I appreciate that they're in the headlines, and I can give them some credit around that.
I know this is going to be extremely overly optimistic, and if there's any A's fans out there that are listening, you're going to hate what I'm about to say. But to your point, it's like what the A's do over and over. They make a deal, they bring somebody in, and then as soon as things don't go well, the second you reach that window of starting to flip guys at the deadline, gone.
Yep.
I know the A's have gone through a tumultuous chapter and are still going through said chapter. And we'll be going through said chapter for the next few years, because this, as we know, like, this isn't going to be their final home. This isn't going to be their final stop. But this is like a new chapter within that chapter. The whole move to Sacramento, the eventual hopeful, for their sake, or according to them, hopeful move to Vegas eventually. Whether or not that happens, who knows? But I
think it's happening.
Probably. Who knows?
I mean, I think I saw that there's like a spot in Vegas that's been like leveled out.
Yeah, but you just never until the first pitch is thrown. You just don't know.
That's when you fully accept it.
But
once that first pitch is finally thrown,
I mean, it's like at the wedding, man. Like, or forever hold your peace. Like, if somebody has a grievance to file against them the morning of opening day, and maybe they could put a halt to this whole Vegas thing. Who knows?
Wait. I love you, Athletics.
No.
Sorry. Go ahead.
This is a very long-winded way of saying I feel like I have to look at them through a different set of lenses right now, just because they're in this weird situation, is the simplest way I can put it. So, like, at least for me, I can't look at them through the Oakland A's lenses right now. I have to look at them as a team that is currently in the mix, or in the process of evolving, relocating, being forced to add names to avoid grievances. So I'm just going to have to look at it. I'm going to have to take these moves at face value. And at face value, I like Luis Severino being added to that rotation, and I like Jeffrey Springs being added to the mix as well.
Yeah,
that's all I can really say. I can't just assume what's going to happen at the deadline for the A's, because it's just a different situation right now, and they may be led to handle the deadline a different way. They may be in the process of adopting a different philosophy with the talent that they're bringing in. I don't know. Will this will this ultimately come back to bite me? Probably, but I'm just gonna try to be as pseudo optimistic as I can.
I like it. Good for you.
Speaking of the A's,
Yeah, I got none.
speaking of the A's, the Phillies came knocking at the door. They said, "Will you guys take Alec Bohm?"
I don't understand.
The Alec Bohm thing
This is really odd.
just fell off a cliff. Like any momentum that had, which I really have a hard time wondering how just how little to no momentum it had. If you're knocking on the door of the Sacramento A's, the Athletics, what is it? What are we saying there? And they said, the A's like, all right, what are you looking for in return? They said, how about
Brent
Bobby
Rooker.
Miller? No, they said Bobby Miller.
No way. This is real.
They said Bobby Miller, according to the Athletic. The Phillies asked,
Stupid.
or Bobby Miller. I'm so sorry. You know what I meant. Mason Miller. The Phillies said,
I know what you meant. I honestly breezed right by it.
thank you, Mason
Yeah.
Miller. It's late. The Phillies asked for all-star reliever Mason Miller, period. That ended the conversation, an A source said. So like it wasn't
Stupid.
what are we trying to do, Philly? Like I'm seeing a lot of outraged Phillies fans right now with like kicking around the whole meme of the guy being like, "Come on, do something," sort of poking the Dave Dombrowski head on the ground.
This
Goes back to what I was saying, man. I'm giving the Phillies one more year.
I'm out.
And that includes this offseason. Like I'm giving you this offseason and I'm giving you this next year to like make a go with this thing. But you're running, believe it or not, you're not going to want to hear this, Phillies fans, but you're running out of time. These guys that you love so much, they're not getting any younger. None of these guys are.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that like this is the hole you get yourself in. This isn't the model that Dombrowski wanted to have. This isn't the template. They're already supposed to have a ring or two by this point. And then they wouldn't be so desperate when it comes to an offseason. But now you're at this point where you have a roster that's aged. You got a ton of money tied up. You don't have a farm. So you don't have the ability to go sign anybody and get this team over the hump. And you can't really trade anybody. So now you're looking at having to trade one of your core members away. It's not something that they want. This is a worst case scenario for the Phillies. This is the last place they would want to be. Is at this point in Harper's career with the rest of their roster looking on saying, we have nothing to show for it. They needed a ring. And now the rest of the league is like, what leverage do you have? Good luck. We'll get Bohm at the deadline when half your roster's aged and the Braves are awake this year and the Nationals are coming and the Mets are coming. Like, I'm done with the Phillies. I'm out.
I can't go that far.
The rest of the division is on the rise.
Yeah, the Braves are healthy. Braves will be back. The Mets are, as we very well documented the last month, the Mets are the Mets now. A new era for that franchise. It's looking like. Yeah, the Phillies really missed the boat. I feel like, and that's why I said I can't say that I'm fully out because I still think that they have like you have enough pieces in that clubhouse, but you got to add to it,
And they can't.
but you can't. And the thing that sucks about this whole Bohm thing, like initially when these talks started surfacing, because remember when you and I brought this up the first time a handful of weeks ago, we're like, why? Like, where's he even gonna go? But the longer that this plays out, you're going, what are we doing to this kid's confidence? Like you are like, if you've been following Alec Bohm, you know the story there, you know his relationship with that city, with his fans. It's had its ups and downs, but he started off the 2024 season as one of the best hitters in baseball. Granted, it sort of plateaued a little bit, but the confidence was there.
Build on that.
And then you immediately just hit the offseason, wheels to the ground, just looking for anybody and everybody that has even the slightest bit of interest. And like I said, the longer this draws out, you have to think that Bohm's going, for what?
I know. And you saw like the Rob Thompson quotes during winter meetings said he's like, I went up to him and I told him he's our guy. He's doing well. He's training. He's feeling good.
That's the other thing. We're hearing out of the organization, like, we're not shopping him. It's like, no, you haven't found anybody to shop him to.
Yeah.
Like, let's not walk this back.
Of shopping. You are shopping. You just haven't finalized the purchase yet.
Exactly. Let's not walk this back to try to protect his feelings. Like, what's done is done. You wanted him out of there. It was very clear. You wanted to either, I don't know what they want. What was the end game there? To go get Bregman?
I don't know.
Is that why they're pulling at the last straw of the A's to see if they could strike a deal to clear up space to then pivot to Bregman? Like, I
guess. I mean, it's not like Bohm's going to clear up that much space.
Doesn't make sense.
They have no leverage. They have nowhere to go.
This is very unlike Dave Dombrowski.
This is what I'm saying, is that like everything's fine if you have a ring or at least one or two. But if you don't have that, you reek of desperation. And you're now operating with one hand tied behind your back.
It's a shame. It's a real shame.
It's too bad. My body's like freaking out right now. I got hiccups, coughs. I think it's because I'm holding coughs in.
That's the worst.
That's the worst. Nose for 30 minutes.
You know what else is the worst?
I'm out here fighting for these people, man.
Hey, you and I both, man. I'm like I said, I gave it to you. We've been posting though. No calling in sick for us.
That's right.
No, but you know what else is the worst is having to wear this shirt. And I wanted to just point it out that this is now the third.
3.
Is it 4?
I think 3.
I think it's 3. Yeah. I think it's the third time wearing this. If you're new to the show, welcome.
Still a delight.
Lost a bet as a refresher. Lost a bet back, I guess September. It was made official. Yankees, Red Sox wrapped up the series. Didn't go the way I wanted it to, so I had to get this shirt. It's as you can see, a little Sports Illustrated cover I photoshopped.
I can't stop looking at it. It's so
you got 3 versions of Nate on there with the shortstop of the 90s. I think Nomar is covered in there somehow, but you got A-Rod, Jeter, just to, as you can see there in the fine print, how to lose a bet, page 42.
I love it.
I got to wear this 10 times before opening day. I'll be honest with you. I feel like I've worn this shirt 7 or 8 times, and I've only worn it 3. So I may have to propose some sort of buyout or something. I don't think so. To make, I'd have to make it enticing because I just don't. I don't think I can wear this 7 more times before opening day.
Is it weird that I want it? That I want to wear it?
You want to wear it? I'll gladly send it to you. I will gladly send it to you.
Is that weird? I feel like Paige would wear it.
I'll give it. I will have this thing shipped out tomorrow if Paige wants it. I don't need this anymore. I haven't paid my dues, but I've paid my dues.
Not yet, sir. 7 more times to go. Now, that reminds me, if you're not watching on YouTube or catching us live, which turn your notifications on. I see there's a bunch of people hanging out with us right now. That's how I know you're an overachiever. That's how I know that you're locked in. That's how I know that Monday Night Football means nothing to you, because we're talking baseball. You're a winner. And clearly you know what's going on.
Let's not give him too much credit. I think we timed this thing up probably with like the end of Monday Night Football, right?
It's a doubleheader. We caught him. Caught him during both games.
True.
And they're still in here hanging out with us.
Love it.
Big time.
Appreciate you all hanging out with us in the chat. And appreciate all of those of you listening that are currently going to YouTube right now to check us out. Please go there. Please subscribe. Would greatly help us out. Would mean the world to us. But other than that,
one whole world.
We'll see you guys later this week.
Yeah. Oh, gotta give my guy a shout out, Mr. Jacob. Congratulations, sir, on the engagement. One of our longtime listeners and followers.
Absolutely.
Just got engaged last week. Gotta give him some big love. I guess if you're listening long enough and you have big momentous moments, text us, message us. Maybe you'll get a shout out, but you won't be as important as Jacob. So love you, Jacob. Congrats, bud. And the motto for that wedding should be, don't go chasing curveballs.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.